Good afternoon, everyone. How are you? Well, so now we are about to start our panel, How Agile Architecture is Building New Business Opportunities. So I'm going to start by inviting our panelists. First, Antonio Nobrega, please. Antonio Nobrega is the CIO at JCA Holding. With a solid career of over 31 years in information technology, he has experience in multinational and national companies and budget. Thank you.
Guys, if you've heard of Cometa, that's the company we're talking about. Well, Antonio is going to talk more about it. I would like to invite Daniela Gonçalves, CIO at Petros, an IT executive with 30 years of experience in the market. She has a technology science degree, MBA in project management and IT audit. Daniela focuses on people, loves IT, and her leadership wants to inspire. Thank you, Dani. I've been asking people where they're from to see if I should kiss them one time on the cheek or two times. And our third guest is Rodrigo Gonçalves. He's the Technology and Innovation Director at Uisa, one of the main groups of Brazilian agribusiness, where he leads the entire technology and innovation team responsible for the digitalization and innovation of the company that wants to stand out and change its products based on innovation. Thank you so much for coming, Rodrigo. So here on the screen, you're going to have access to the QR code. So if you want to send any questions throughout the presentation, feel free. It's going to be on and off on the screen, and you can just point your phone and send your questions whenever you want to. Well, I'm Adilson Cavati, if you don't know me. Well, if you know me, yes, I'm also Adilson Cavati. Was a bad joke, yes, but I am famous for those. I'm responsible for the business of Sensedia in Brazil. I'm the business executive director, and we're going to talk about it today. So let's start with you, Dani. Ladies first, right? We have a few topics, but the main goal is to have a conversation. So Dani, and obviously Rodrigo and Antonio, you can chime in. How does agile architecture drive innovation in companies? So tell us a little bit about your story for Petros and how the flexibility of agile architecture allowed for your company to have a quick response to the market changes and new strategies. Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Well, when we thought of bringing agility to architecture, it was specifically to be able to standardize the processes and to make it so we could have a quicker response so that the developer could do their job, which was to develop. So during the entire project, when we talk about agile architecture, we can constantly have updates, especially if we have a long project. So we don't need to stop the project to change the entire architecture. It's going to change along the way. We're going to have the deliveries, and the developer will only focus on developing. So this makes it so the delivery is much quicker, the response is much better. But to do that, we need to break paradigms. Exactly, yes. So, Rodrigo, when we talk about agile architecture driving innovation in businesses, you have a great experience, right? Tell us a little bit about that. First of all, good afternoon, everyone. It's great to share the panel with the two of you. My first time at APIX. Congratulations to all of the Sensedia team. It's a great event. I usually like to say we are in a different state than the main states in Brazil and Mato Grosso. So it's a very traditional area. So first of all, we needed to break the culture, that culture of agribusiness that was always working in the same ways. We had to break down that culture and implement an agile culture in our technical area in the company. The technical area was always very close to the changes. We search and we always want more knowledge, but business is not the same thing. And I've been in the company for 4 years, so the pandemic helped us to accelerate and to show our results faster. So when we say we're going to have a 10-month or 15-month long project and not seeing any results, we started by planting a seed, delivering results to business, and they started to become agile. They started to need technology and agility until we got to a level where business is not accepting the lack of agility from technology. So that's how it works. Just like with innovation, we can't be agile without innovating. And innovating, in my point of view, is not only based on technology. A lot of it, yes, it's based on technology, but a lot of it goes through people transformation, changing people's mindset, implementing agility in a global context of a company that has 10, 15,000 people. It's difficult to get to the highest level, and when you do, in our case, a collaborator that works directly in the fields, it's a huge sense of gratitude because you see that other person that doesn't have any access to technology, they ask you, when am I going to have my results? When am I going to have the project reaching my area? So you see that the agile behavior that we have in the company went into the entire company and culture, and it's mixed into the company strategy without any effort. We were on a round table earlier, right, Rodrigo? If you can say that again, technology as a support. Is that what you said? Technology is not a support for Uisa. No, for Uisa, technology is a part of the company's strategy. It's security. So life first, safety. Then we go into technology to generate numbers for the business. So we built an ecosystem around technology and innovation. So when we talk about technology, the company stops and says, what are we having today? What is going to happen? So we are a 43-year-old company in Mato Grosso that went to the southeast as well with other businesses considering ESG, sustainability, and that is one of the areas of the company. And we said, well, unlike other companies, I think Flesh has said in the previous panel, when are you going to digitalize? Our case was different. We changed the company's strategy to become innovative. So we have the company as a whole getting innovation as one of its principles. So we're often discussing this with the board, and we have implementation in a really quick speed. And my team says, well, is this year going to be a little bit slower? And we say, unfortunately, I don't think so. We have more projects, more demands. And this is good on one side because it shows how important technology is. And it's bad on the other side because the bar is always going to get higher. So you need to get prepared and you need to get people who are ready and also upskilling and reskilling people to fit the company. So thankfully, we're on our way. We know we still have a way to go, but it's been amazing. Great. I wanted to ask that because I was talking to Antonio during lunch, and he said that on a specific situation, what did you say, Antonio? What about technology or agile technology for buses? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the invitation. It was funny. It was at another event from Sensedia themselves. So I was talking to another executive. I said that I worked at group JCA, and usually people don't associate our names, so our big brands are Cometa, 1001, Catarinense, so bus brands, mostly in the south and southeast. And she asked, what do you have of technology in buses? And I said, what do you mean? Everything. If you think you have technology inside the bus, you have technology to sell the ticket, to follow the passenger. Oh, I never thought of that. So it's the same thing. IT is strategy. So the name of my area is strategic IT, because we understand that for our business, if we don't have a technology area that is strategic, we are not going to be able to deliver, and we're not going to be able to leverage our business to be able to be more agile in every single aspect, to capture the customer, to have more assertive pricing, to have sales. So it's one day after the other. We're always going after what we need to do. I'm fairly new at the company. Actually, yesterday was my 2-year anniversary on the company. So it's a big challenge. We went through the pandemic and we've been growing a lot. We grew our responsibility and how much IT is important to maintain the company business. And you said as well that the only area, you were involved in all the areas, right? And that's the other thing. It was a joke. We joked. People said that IT is cost. And at the board meeting, I said, well, do you do anything without technology? Because if you're able to sell, if you're able to know where the bus is, if you're able to know where the customer is, then we change. But I think we are the base, the foundation to everything, and we're together to do whatever is necessary. So they said, well, yeah, it's true. So yes, we need to understand we're a business partner and not a cost. And unfortunately, a lot of companies, another quote that I usually joke with is like, people need to stop thinking that we're the computer nerds. We actually leverage any business that we're involved in. So everyone needs to, the way that I see it, any company that I'm in, business does that, and I try to unpack that for the team as well as for my peers. Okay, so for now, you're the only thing you don't do is drive the bus, right? In a little bit, if the bus is autonomous, then probably yes, we're gonna even drive it. Yes, for sure. So I see that when we talk about agile architecture and how do I mobilize everything, technology is there. Technology doesn't complain. It does what it's told. But there is a point which is culture and people. So architecture actually promotes collaboration. And how does that happen in your company? What are the most common challenges that you've faced or are facing to implement this journey? I usually say that well, digital transformation, digital touch points, any of those buzzwords. The fact is that we need to do something, we need to start walking, and it's not a project, it's a journey. So I wanted you to talk a little bit about this process, the beginning of this journey or this marathon, because it's not a 100-meter sprint. It's a marathon. So how can you promote this in your day-to-day activity? And I wanted, Dani, for you to talk about the portal and maybe connecting it to culture, people, and every day and this entire thing. Can I start? Yes, please go ahead. Well, talking a little bit about culture, it's very hard when we have to break paradigms, not only in the business areas, which are precisely what move companies. In my case, I work at Petros. We're a pension fund where we manage the benefits of 150,000 participants. So it's a big customer pool, and we deal with paying benefits, the reserves, and all of that. So how do we make technology move that entire company that deals with the financial aspect? How were we able to have the second biggest budget to invest in technology in a financial company? It was specifically by showing the deliverables, so having the results. But for that, like I said at the beginning, we had to break a lot of paradigms related to culture. So we needed to implement methodologies and frameworks within technology. It wasn't easy. Some people had been working in the company for 20 years. These were systems built internally with outdated language, and they were linked to the customer information, or the employees' information. So only that one person knows how to solve this. So if that information is linked to one person, if we multiply the company, we have over 400,000 people involved in that financial aspect. So we needed to bring a lot of things. We added all the frameworks and market methodologies. We created a project office, everything that was possible in IT. We worked with Scrum Masters, Kanban. We brought all of that into IT to make sure we would have the methodology and continue with that. So we changed the team. Some people couldn't work with the new technologies, but we have people that had great results and they were able to adapt even though they were older. So today we have an IT team of almost 200 people. So how would we be able to manage so many analysts if we didn't have a methodology to follow? And then how did we bring this into the portal, which was a big delivery that we had? It happened on the last day of December. We reached the goal of delivering the portal. And in January, it was already working. So we had systems of several different platforms and different languages. And we needed to deliver something where we could simulate a loan or a retirement plan. And we needed to unify all of that and make it so the participant or our customer could feel like they were being hugged. So we used the Sensedia platform. We went from 7 APIs to 80 plus APIs. And we were joking with Ezekiel that helps us. He called Petros and he said, "What happened? Are you being hacked? Because why do you have so many APIs all of a sudden?" But no, we migrated the portal. We were able to do that. And we unified the security part as well as infrastructure, on top of making all the systems able to be visited without the participant noticing, if they're talking about Delph, Copal, .NET, or whatever it is. This made the response quicker. This made our analysts more available to work and more focused on the development, like I said at the beginning, and this entire work of architecture that happened behind it to be able to support it. We had a very big strategic gain. Our NPS was at 15, 16, around that, and it went to 80. After that, we had a drop because it's normal as well. The participant, after they know the good, they want the great, so they demand more and more. But it was a very big jump, and this was a very big strategic accomplishment. And today we use this platform to give us support in every way. Especially now, we have another goal. We want to replace our RP because we had a system that was totally developed internally. And now we got a market system where we are developing based on that. And Sensedia has been our partner to also work in this new platform with surprising gains and benefits. So you have an idea to get a participant sheet. We would take 3 hours and we had 400. The last one ran in 1 minute or less. So that was amazing. Great. I like to hear this data, and there are some cases with the customers. Sometimes I call and I say, "Well, is this correct? You didn't lie to me, right?" But that's great. I'll use that. Antonio, I would like you to talk a little bit about agile architecture, collaboration between teams in daily operation, and how did you do this implementation in JCA? So 2 years ago, when I got to the company, we were in need of a big change to be able to broaden our digital sales channels. We already had some sale channels, but through participation, well, we were still in the middle of the pandemic. Type of data that is relevant to explain how much we invested in that. At the end of 2019, We had our sales in the digital channels around 23%. Everything else was directly at the bus station. Today we're at 50-50. So Sensedia, when we got here, so me and my team, we needed to go fast for us to be able to get the services and to have a better experience for our customer. So one of the main things we did was hiring Sensedia, and based on the platform, we were able to start developing better and evolving our products. But we started suffering with other things like, oh, it's agile, you do the delivery, but what about governance? What about the control? So at that first moment, we did a few things that made us have a little bit of rework, but we did what was necessary, and at a specific moment we stopped. We really worked on everything internally, and today everything works great. And Sensedia was truly a path and a partner that really helped us. We have people from Sensedia on our architecture team, so it's been amazing. And today we have a board, which is my area, that it's not so much our business area, but we have a digital area, which is a board in the structure. And we see what we can do for our type of business, because before, yeah, that's what would happen. Technology, it's kind of optional. I'll sell anyway because we're going to get the passenger at the bus station, but the world is changing. Unfortunately, the group that I'm in has the mentality, and we tend to be disruptive within our market. Usually we are ahead, and usually other brands see us as a reference. In technology that is focused on operation specifically of the buses, and also for technology that we have to make sales and LP and everything that we're developing with the partners to be a reference in our market for partner or passenger transportation.
I took a picture when David was giving his lecture saying that governance is required. And at the same time, he also said something that I also liked, is that I'm not support. You know, business, not IT, should lead your API program. But actually, we're talking about a combo of both of them. So, Rodrigo, could you please comment about the implementation of the agile technique there? Well, it was actually pretty similar to my colleagues. We were a familiar old company with over 40 years of story, and then out of the blue, we started having new shareholders. So actually, it was quite the change, the radical change. We implemented this methodology, and in the very first step, we noticed a mistake that we have been making, which was to believe that the entire company understood all the nomenclatures that we had. You know, so squad, ERP, API. And we went to the meetings and tried to explain them in a technical way, and well, it just didn't work. So we adapted these methodologies to the reality of our public from the field. So we had this objective: if the person understood it, what we were talking about, they would do it. So we needed to actually infect these people. So we created a new vocabulary to be understood by these people, and we also showed them the value of what we were doing. So oftentimes the project the board made was something that the manager said, no, I don't need that. But then we said, okay, but the CEO is requesting that. And then he said, no, call a meeting with the board and I will explain them why I don't need that. So, of course, up to date, we still have a few cases like that. But not as much right now, because now they understand the impact of what we're doing and how we can facilitate their lives. So that's when they got on board of this agile train. And in the second moment, we had some challenges about blockchain, because And of course, curiously enough, we implemented that like a year and a half ago, and now everybody said, okay, this is something that everybody's going to need. So I mean, I said, well, thankfully ours is working right now. Um, so we implemented the first version. We started with an MVP for one product, and one of the shareholders said, okay, that's fine. But you did that in 3 months. That's great. Congratulations. And then I sent a slide to Adilson and said, see, since CJ is giving results. And I said, yes, come here and see for yourself. And the shareholder said, okay, that's great. So you sold it, you worked on your blockchain, you have QR code, the product was implemented. So, okay, what do I get from that? And we still didn't have data to show to him. We only had studies. And then the commercial guy said, okay, I guess I can add 7 to 10% of margin in the product because the competitors don't have that. And the shareholder said, okay, but is it going to sell? Well, the first pilot was over then. But the next day they said, okay, now you have to do it for all the products. Actually, call to the government bases and ask all the histories. Let's compare the maps. We can just establish an API and connect all the history from Google. And I said, okay. And he said, okay, can we do that in 30 days? And I said, yes, let me talk to the team. And I said, Diego, Mateus, we only have 15 days to deliver something to our boss, and it has to work. And they said, no, it's definitely not gonna work. You're going crazy. And well, of course, it didn't take only 30 days, but in 2-3 months, it was working. We had all the databases of all the maps, free APIs with satellite images, working with Sensedia since '84. So yes, we can show since 1984 what we plant, what we produce, our harvests. So I decided to show that to our boss again, and I sent a gift to him, and he said, wow, I'm going to show that to the banks. I believe that we can get cheaper credit, cheaper funding with that. And sure enough, one huge World Bank told us that yes, we actually believe this technology of blockchain over the Brazilian law. And he said, okay, so maybe give us some discounting funding. And it actually worked, and that actually took us to take a look at the carbon credit. So we started charging for that. So the area started started understanding what is blockchain. So nowadays, in the company, the people in the field who used to think that would be against agile technologies is the first person to tell us if there's any problem, maybe at 2, 3 in the morning. So we always say that there is no more efficient monitoring than an engaged person. And the people from the field is more agile than all of the tools that we might have. So we added this layer from Sensedia to control all of the APIs. I mean, we have a lot of different systems and also public systems, and it cannot fail. We cannot, delete this data. And this is something that actually infected the entire company. It spread out through the company like wildfire. So we created a sustainability company and clean energy company, started from that. And it actually was what started the agility of the company as a whole. So it is actually a project that we are quite proud of because it was able to spread to stakeholders, to the public, and basically 95% of what the technology can do in order to change the business as a whole. And we can only do that because of the agility and because of our robust architecture. I cannot say to Adilson, remember that blockchain, we have to delete it and then restart it from scratch. So agility, we always say that to PDCA. saying that we are going to deliver that at any cost. And this actually helps the company to be agile. So not only using the technology, but also the mindset. Yeah, so actually it was a business unit being born from a project. So maybe Antonio can be a good consumer of your carbon credits. Yes, we have 20,000 credits to sell in the market, available in the market. Yes, this market already exists on paper, the voluntary carbon footprint credit, carbon emissions. So we actually broke a paradigm and started the digital transformation of that. We were able to get certified with 20,000 credits. We started now the operation of sale of those credits. And we believe that actually erasing our footprints is better. You know, my boss is even crazier than I am. He even has projects to actually bury carbon. So we believe that when this technology is used for good, it can change lives. And in addition to the Brazilian potential to generate credits, is something that leads us to believe that we can do things on our own. We don't need others all the time. Yes, that's amazing. And it's actually very nice to hear you say that, because this event that we have been holding since 2015 shows us that, yes, we can do it. I was talking to Kleber to show that we were talking about open banking back in 2015, and it goes beyond the regulation. You know, we don't have to wait for it. We can just start doing it right now. And this is what you have been doing. It's amazing. I was going to ask you exactly about that, and then of course I'm going to extend the same question to Antonio and Dani, which is, how is the board of your company seeing the value? How do you prove the value of the implementation of new projects? And how do you use these projects in order to build this architecture? Go ahead, Antonio. Well, so if we weren't able to structure and to make the deliveries, I mean, nothing would be possible without the agile structure. Every week or maybe every other week, we can decide our deliveries. We have our technical squads in general working with the technology areas. We also have scrums, when we also have POs. They are all under the digital layer, and we work on different types of hands. And that delivery that is necessary in order to release a specific offer, or in order to have some control, or to have a better indicator. So, I mean, it spreads like wildfire. If it was in the traditional way, we wouldn't be able to do that. If we didn't have this agile mindset of sitting down together and talk every day. And one of the things that I say about being accurate is, I say, guys, we need to work in order to avoid having work. So, I mean, it's best to invest our time in order to do it well done once, you know, to minimize errors, therefore avoiding wasting time and having rework. Because if we had invested something maybe a week longer, or if we didn't rush something just because a customer requested it, you know. So we are always stopping and thinking and analyzing to do it once and to do it to do a well done job, you know. Otherwise, we just have a lot of reworks. Okay, that's amazing. Actually, I was talking to Dani earlier about that, because you have already done the APIs for the portal. So, you know, just reuse those APIs. So that's the best way. You know, the best way to do something is not to do it. If I have something, that's to just reuse it. And then before you answer that, you actually gave me a data about time reduction from 15 to 2.5. Yes, actually, one thing that we didn't have, and after the Sensedia platform we were able to start, was to have the visibility over the performance. of all the transactions of the APIs. So if we had an error, we couldn't, in an easy way, measure how many errors or how long it took to solve them. And then I talked to my architecture manager, and we still have a monolith. However, it was already customized for this specific API. So when we started implementing that, no, actually even after the implementation, but maybe in a year, the last mile of the sale of the ticket was an API that took 15 milliseconds. Now we are down to 2.5 because of this visibility, because now we can measure the pieces of the process. We can improve PDCA, we can improve with continuous improvement. We have less timeout, we have a better customer experience, we have a better NPS. So everything works together to improve the experience as a whole, and of course to improve sales. And of course, then the word mouth to mouth definitely helps us improve that and have a better delivery. Okay, that's cool. Dani? Okay, let me build on that. So again, like he said, IT is not support. IT is strategy. So that's how we start showing the gains when we reuse what's already done. So you don't have to throw something away and start from scratch. So when you have everything well documented, well mapped, when the platform and the system do that on their own, we can reuse them. We can reuse the APIs that were designed, we can reuse the flows, and that makes us gain a lot of time. We already have it, we just need to adjust it. We need to adjust to a new process. We don't need to redo that. We don't need to restart. It takes a lot of time. And this is how we talk about cost, and cost is budget by the end of the year, by the end of the month. So this is how we actually can show gains. And in order to do that, we are always saying methodology, frameworks, way of working. So some people think it's boring, think this is unnecessary bureaucracy. However, when we have a well-done sprint, when you have a delivery every 15 days, when you can show value and results every 15 days, you don't need to wait for a project to finish 10 months from now. It definitely shows results. So the sprint was worth it. In 15 days, I'm going to have a delivery. The analyst knows every day what they're going to do. So on our daily meeting, we can show the deliveries. The analysts were always thinking, okay, what am I going to do today? What am I going to do next week? I'm working too much, I'm delivering too much, and I am always, having other deliveries to be made. It feels like useless work, It feels like something without any value. But when we start discussing that under the context of daily meetings, under sprints, or when you reuse services, that's the value. So all this boredom or all those rules or all those things that the analyst says, okay, but it takes me so much time to make a sprint, and we say, no, it's not a waste of time. The delivery is going to be more efficient. And that's why we have been changing this culture and bringing these new methodologies and trainings for all the areas, even areas that don't involve technology. We have been implementing this agile culture because it's very important. Perfect. Yes, I say that for people who like to solve, everything is a tool for fixing. So sometimes people can be grumpy about it, but we can show them the results, and that's, unquestionable. I'm going to ask you a question by Aristides. For the implementation of the agile structure, artifacts and processes were used, but did you use internal resources only, or did you hire external help for this framework? Well, I can answer that. We have our own squads. We have internal people, but we also usually hire consultants. So we have this hybrid strategy. So in the squad, we have people from Petros, but we also have third parties helping us out. Yes, and that's the same thing for Uisa. We also have the internal team when we also have third parties to help us out. We actually created the method Uisa because we actually tailored the methodology to our reality in order to make all the deliveries. So we don't get a model, a template A or B. No, we do what is best for Uisa at that time, and from time to time, all the leadership sits together and discuss what's working, what's not, what needs to be changed, because when we implement something, it's not carved in stone. We can just change it whenever necessary. Yes, and it's actually very nice because there's no one size fits all. There's actually a saying in the Bible that says, "Look at everything and keep what's good for you." So there is this thing, you are in Mato Grosso and you may have a difficulty, retaining people or attracting people. So there is a specific reality to it. So you must adapt. Yes. We don't have this model hybrid or home office. Even during the pandemic, we always had people in our offices, and it is in Mato Grosso. It's actually countryside. It's not even in the capital. So we have a rule that every employee has to live there from our CEO, and this is something that we didn't change. So we started losing professionals because they wanted to work home office. And how could we bring these specialists to the city? It wasn't possible. So we had to work on a workflow to educate those people. So the majority of our leadership now, I came from São Paulo to Mato Grosso, but there are a lot of people who are now formed there. They used to work in the maintenance, and now they are coordinators, and they are getting specialized in that. And whenever these people receive proposals, of course, that they have to think twice before accepting any proposals. We also have some social programs helping out the vulnerable communities to hire these people into the technology area. So now we are actually forming these people to hire them in supporting areas, administrative areas, in support areas. And we are doing that locally, which is the hardest part for us. And we are going against the market with the whole home office and hybrid models.
So, Antonio, how do you look at these strategies for implementation of agile architecture? Well, a curiosity as well. When I got to the company 2 years ago, 100% of the team was changed. Either people left or we ended up replacing. So, yes, 100%. Oh, so that was easy. 2 easy years for you. Yeah. And one of the strategies, because of the market, one of the strategies that I implemented for us to try to get agility, because when I started, we had an issue with deliveries. So the entire technology team was in-house, and they said they were agile, but they couldn't really deliver. So I'm not going to really ponder on why that was happening. But my strategy was I'm going to start to bring in partners. And today, pretty much my entire development team works in factories, not only with partners, because that's what I said. I can't just have one person, because if I'm tied up with that person, we have 3 or 4 different factories. I need someone. So we have different people, and whoever can come first, we put them there. So we assembled an architecture team. Today we have architects from Sensedia, we have internal architects, we have some on our digital team. And actually, they make it possible for us to do this work. For you to look for someone in the market, today the company as well seeing the business, with the exception of the technology and digital teams, everyone else works on site. And some people say, oh, why can they and I can't? But happily or unfortunately, we weren't able to maintain and retain professionals. There were cases where we did the entire process, and when we say at the end, they say it's hybrid, they say, okay, then I don't want to work here. So that's a big challenge, and we need to adapt to make sure things are going to happen. So this was the strategy that when I arrived was possible, and right now it's going well and it's gaining traction, and we can do a lot of things because it does bring diversity. Because sometimes we can put together a team that's 100% internal and we don't have a lot of comparison. When we have more than one factory, we have diverse opinions, diverse controls, and we start to actually learn and share those things. I didn't talk about Petros related to 100% home office for IT. That's what we have as well. Petros is hybrid, but IT is not. We have people all over the country for the IT sector as our own employees, our analysts, and also abroad. So it's important to say that we're 100% home office, and our third parties are 100% working from home as well. We have capacity companies that we hire. It's 6 different companies to be able to have a wide range of people and being able to choose more professionals among the companies. I saw a meme, Antonio, of someone on the couch and the HR woman calling like, there's this or that, or you're gonna get really well, but you have to go 1 day a year to the hospital. No, I don't want that. Well, we have a few more minutes, and I wanted to do the following. If you had to say one thing for the people who are listening to you today, like a recommendation to implement or start the journey on agile architecture, what would you say? What advice would you give today? Don't waste any time, because the response comes and it's very quick. The response is very agile, and it does impress. It really impresses everyone with the delivery, with the response, and especially the person on the other side that is not expecting that. So don't waste your time. Start now, and it's going to be worth it. I would say that do it for the business and not for the technology. If you do it for the business, surely you're going to reach your goal really quick. If you do it only for technology, it's going to be just another project. So I really like this point of view of focusing on the business. A lot of the times we focus a lot on the technology, what's the best one, A, B, C, or D. But, it's buses, it's agro business, it's Petros, so focus on something else. Focus on that and not the technology itself. We talk about the approach API first. It's from the outside in, right? Yes. And Antonio, what do you say? Starting agile, it's better done than waiting for it to be perfect. So see what will be better for your business, for your team, for your business areas. So when we test, we'll know what works best, what we can produce best, and makes it so that there's no point in having a perfect framework and I'm going to follow that Bible. We need to understand what is better for us. There are moments when you go a little bit away from what's, planned, and that's going to be better for that moment because you may have a different business need. So agility is not only the name, it's the culture. And you can't be agile just to say that you're agile, because that can also give you some kind of issue or even financial losses. So you need to think straight and understand what's going to be better for your business. But I don't think we can do any differently than the agile methodology. Yeah, I like what Dani said, because she said, just start. I once heard someone say, sometimes you have utopia, so you take a step towards my target and it goes 2 steps further. So you just started taking the first step, right? And when we talk about agility, we were on the other roundtable as well. So if there's bad input, there's going to be bad output. If you have something that you're automatizing, it's going to be bad. So agility is better than speed. So let's make it automatic so it goes faster. But is that going to be the best? So the founder of Sensedia, he says, well, make sure your ducks are in a row first, and then you start going. Let's see if there's nothing else, but I don't think we have any more time, actually. I would like to really thank you for being with us today. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being our partner. I hope that it continues that way. We've been working at Sensedia, and we really like to have long-term relationships. So thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for participating at APIX. And thank you all for being here with us and for listening. And now I think I need to invite Marcilio to the stage. Is that it? Or am I doing it wrong? Thank you so much, guys.